Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of Epic Fantasy Romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Ambrosia. Lovely morning here in Santa Fe. Today on Thursday, May 19th. Yes, I was just wondering if I titled the podcast correctly because I always title with the date. And fortunately, I did. So, lots going on here. Tonight, we kick off the events for Nebula Conference. Mentoring happens this evening. Everything is in place. Everything's come together, I believe. Um, yeah, events tomorrow. How's the book coming along? They say. They ask Jeffy. It's coming. It's coming. Um, I have got 83,600 words, and I've got like 15,000 to go. Um, Doable. We'll see how much time I have for that out loud proof. Fortunately, I do write pretty clean. So if I have to upload a penultimate version, I could do that um, and fix the commas after. Knowing that I'm not going to have it proofed, I have been paying more attention to, like, instead of punting on lay, lie, laid, I've been actually checking. Although I think I have it right now. The one that I don't get is each other and one another, and I'm not sure anybody actually cares, other than the grammarians. So theoretically, I can finish it. Right now, things are an utter disaster, and I don't know how they're going to get themselves out of it. Uh, but there's a possibility that the book will just end with them all dying. And then they all died. I mean, I can understand why Shakespeare did that sometimes. It's like, yeah, and then they all died. So much easier. In fact, I've said this before, but I think that the people who go for the tragic ending instead of trying to figure out how to make a romance end happily, when they think that they're being so terribly clever and like, oh, I'm going to write a romance, except it ends tragically. It's like, actually, the tragic ending is the easy ending. It's super easy to have everybody die or everything not work out. It's much more difficult to figure out how the fuck are they going to get themselves out of this situation. So I guess we'll find out, won't we? Uh, there's a panel I want to see tomorrow at 10 my time, the first sequence of panels for the conference. But then I will, actually, there's two at 10, but they'll all be recorded so I can watch them later as well. It's fun to watch stuff in person because of the chat roll and everything. You can talk to people. And I see my peony is about to bloom. Oh, it's so pretty. Glowing pink. So, so yeah, quite a lot going on the next couple of days. Did you guys see? I might link to it. The trailer for the Nebula Awards ceremony. Amazing, amazing people worked on that. And it just gives me a shiver of delight because I can't take any credit for the actual work, but you guys, you have no idea what I went through to get that to happen the way that it happened. And I don't feel like I can talk about it necessarily, but Neil Gaiman, me, I got him there. Other people helped me. Many thanks to the people that helped me and connected me. but for reasons that are too arcane and absurd to explain, and besides which it would be impolitic, I had to fight to have Neil Gaiman be our Toastmaster in the way that he is. And it's going to be awesome. And I'm just so happy. I'm so happy with how it turned out. So that's often, I find, the role of people in leadership, which sounds kind of funny for me to say in leadership, but is that if you're doing it right, you step back and you don't trumpet your credit like I'm doing right now. But it's the other people who do the actual work, but sometimes that work of being the one determined to have a thing happen and fighting for it and fighting people who don't want it to happen, that just takes a lot sometimes, and it's work that's not always noticed by people, which is fine. um, but it is an interesting thing to me. I have to show you guys. I have my Nebula nails. Oh, here's a little ray of sunshine. If you're on video, I got, there's sort of a deep blue purple with gold sparklies. Nebula nails. Um, what else was I going to say on that? Oh, on the leadership thing. So I had one funny. You guys know that if you've been listening to me for a very very long time, because I don't think I've brought it up recently, that I think that as human beings, one of the things we have to combat is ego, is the overweening ego, the dominating ego. Um, and that's partly my Taoist perspective. Taoists are very much anti ego. You can't be one with the Tao if you are filled with ego. And I think ego drives a whole lot of negative behavior. So I work very hard not to be egotistical, not to let my ego take over. And it's funny in some ways because it's this balance between not letting the ego run everything, but also taking credit for stuff. So, quite a long time ago, my very favorite professor from college, Professor David Hoddes, who was the one who was the non practicing Orthodox Jew, if you get that joke, my religious studies professor, amazing man, huge influence on me. And he was dying. He got colon cancer, and he decided, which, and this was very true to who he was, that he would not get radiation or chemotherapy. He had the surgery, but he didn't want to have any of the other treatment because he wanted to spend his last days in the classroom, uh, doing what he loved best, what he was so good at. And so, oh, I'm going to get a little verklempt talking about him. So I organized a thing where we had a kind of a memorial service for him while he was still alive. And I worked with my university, Washington University in St. Louis, and a bunch of my old friends. And we worked with the alumni office and contacted as many people as possible who had been his students. They gave us the records, and I emailed everybody. It was early days of email, and invited people to come and say nice things about him. And it was a really cool thing to do. And the university dedicated this one of the salons, one of the, I don't know, teaching halls to him. They put his name on it. And it was just, we all went back to St. Louis. It was a really lovely weekend. It was funny because like some people that I emailed got so mad about me emailing them. Almost everyone was nice, but a few people were like, take me off of this mailing list. And it's like, did you even read the email? Dipshit. Anyway, early days of email. It would probably be harder to do now. Only illegitimate spammers are allowed to email people anymore. So this one gal did, I don't even remember, she was a reporter and she was doing an article. I don't think it was for the student newspaper, it might have been for the St. Louis Post Dispatch. I don't remember what paper. But anyway, she called me up to interview me about the event. And so we talked about what was going on and everything. And she was asking me about me. And she said, well, I understand that you organized this event. And I said, well, uh, a great many people worked on this event. And she said, oh, okay. And then there was like no mention of me in the article at all. It was like I very effectively erased myself, which was actually fine because I wanted it to be about him. And I'd said that to her several times, you know, that this is to celebrate Professor Hoddes. Um, but at the same time, I was like, oh, note to self about giving away all credit. Um, you know, it's because people will let you do it. So I don't really remember how I got off on that whole thing. Oh, just like leadership credit stuff and that sort of thing. Um, yeah, a lot of things with Nebula Conference and Ceremony were things that I masterminded or set into motion. Uh, but everybody else did all the work, and they were fabulous. And everybody will be very glad to have the work done with because it's been a lot. And then next year we will be doing the hybrid conference. That'll be exciting, won't it? Back in person. So, the other thing I wanted to talk about is this funny thing about people not being aware of the order of things, of the precedence of naming. And the reason this came up was my friend posted a picture of purple columbine blooming in her garden, and one of her family members who lives across the country said, oh, I love those purple and white flowers. And I messaged my friend, and because it made me laugh. And I, I said it made me laugh that she called the columbine purple and white flowers. So, and I totally get this as a regional thing, you know, like that people on the East Coast may have never seen columbine, but I'm a Colorado girl by birth, or not by birth exactly, but certainly by nativity. My mother was born there, stepfather was born there. I grew up there, hometown of Denver. Columbine is the state flower, purple columbine. Uh, and so it was funny to me that somebody would not recognize the flower. And I mean, maybe just it's so pervasive here, but also, you know, it's like people who know nothing about the American West, right? And it is a pretty flower. So, and she replied back and said, yes, that when she and her son were skiing, that there was a trail called Columbine. And her son, who's a teenager, said, it's really sad that they named a trail after that town where all of those kids died. So, this is the perspective partly of youth and partly of people who've grown up in a digital world, that they're not aware of the order of history. So, in case you don't follow that whole thing, probably most of you do, but he was referring to the massacre at Columbine High School, which took place in Denver. It was not a town, but Columbine High School. Columbine High School, of course, named for the state flower of Colorado. And lots of mountains around here have Columbine this or that because it's a flower that grows everywhere here, right? I have tons of yellow columbine in my garden blooming right now. I should take a picture of one of them, put it on the show notes, because the peony is not ready for full viewing anyway. So it's just a really funny thing, and I've noticed it happen a lot. And I can't think of the books, but like when people pick an older property and say, "Oh, And I don't think this was the exact one, but like the one that I pulled out an example for her was Wizard of Oz. Like when people complained that the Wizard of Oz rips off Harry Potter, or some of these older fantasy works rip off Harry Potter. And it's funny because when I first read Harry Potter, I thought it was incredibly derivative of previous fantasy works. But once something becomes very large, it supersedes everything else. And and there's also the wherever someone first encounters a piece of information, a story, a name, then that becomes first in their mind, regardless of precedent. It's a funny thing. And this was making me think too, which is just sort of a sideline, but I was thinking about how someone had asked me a long time ago. Um, and it was someone who was young, and they were asking me about Your Song by Elton John and Bernie Taupin. And they said, why do you think he says, um, but then again, no, in the song? Why would he do that? And I said, well, it's meant to reflect, they're like, why wouldn't he just change it in the song if he changed his mind? And I said, well, it's meant to be like this conversational tone, and it's meant to transmit his sense of uncertainty and insecurity by having that in the lyrics. And they said, no, I don't think that's it. I think he just made the mistake and didn't change it. I was like, no, I don't think that's what happened. But for some reason, that conversation's always stuck with me. And I was thinking about Jim Croce's song where he says, I'll have to say I love you in a song. And it starts out with, I know it's kind of late. I hope I didn't wake you. Um, there's, I didn't look up the date on this one. Well, let me go back. I was wondering which of those came first, and the answer is Elton John and Bernie Taupin. That song was 1970. Jim Croce's was 1973. A lot of names I'm going to have to fix in the transcript. Sorry if I don't get them all. And then there's, why can't I think of the band? I'm Leaving on a Jet Plane has a similar thing where addressing the person in the song, where they say, oh, now I have to look. It's not letting me pause. Funny, that song was written by John Denver. I didn't realize that. I was thinking of someone else singing it. Maybe you guys will remember because I'm not going to keep researching it. But anyway, uh, he says the same sort of thing in there as in I hate to wake you up to say goodbye. And what year was that? Oh, Peter, Paul, and Mary. That's who I was thinking of um, singing it. Okay, hold on. Okay, so that was 1966, which I should remember because that's the year I was born. So anyway, this person who I can't even remember who they are, I want to go back and expand on the explanation and say that this was part of a songwriting trend in the apparently late 60s through the early 70s of having lyrics that were more conversational and directed to a particular person. We could probably do a whole essay on this. And if you want to take that up for your thesis, you're welcome to do so. So I'm going to go on my way and get some stuff done. Wish me luck. uh, if I kill off all the characters, will you forgive me? Uh, all right. I hope you all have a fabulous Thursday, and I will talk to you tomorrow. I'll do my podcast tomorrow. What the hell? It's only time. You all take care. Bye bye.